Hello YouTube, did you know that section 113A and 113B of the Indian Evidence Act are purely women-centric provisions? They provide for presumption in the case of suicide or dowry death, where if the woman is found to have been harassed cruelly by her husband or his relatives within 7 years of her marital life, before which the death had occurred, then it is presumed that such death or suicide had been abetted by the husband and his relatives.
It is said that there is no tool more effective than the empowerment of women for the development of a nation. Women officers were finally granted permanent commission in the armed forces and laid emphasis on the need to change mindsets and attitude to recognize the value of the Constitution and the role women have to play. This path-breaking judgment is historic and will forever vindicate gender equality and justice. This sets the morale of all the women high and restores the faith in judiciary with the assertion that there is no place for gender-based stereotypes in the 21st century India.
Look at the age of advertisements in our country. Don't you think it is so awkward that the product advertised are no way connected with the women who have exposed their body just to attract the viewers? This is just an example. There exist number of advertisements in our society where women are portrayed as commodities. How many of you are aware that there exists a law in our country which restricts the use of women as commodities in advertisements and other mediums? Yes, the Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act 1986 puts a ban on such portrayals and punishes the same. Don't think that the advertisement that I showed initially is sold and this law has put an end to it. Check out the recent ads. Commodification still exists in our society. We should raise our voice so as to put a permanent end to this menace.
According to Section 46, Clause 4 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, a woman shall not be arrested after sunset and before sunrise, except in certain exceptional circumstances. But if at all the arrest has to be made, there needs to be a written report, a prior permission from a judicial magistrate of first class, and also the police officer cannot touch the woman unless it's a female police officer.
We will be discussing the key 4 changes brought in by the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act 2017. Firstly, it increases paid maternity leave, which was extended from 12 weeks to 26 weeks, of which 8 of which can be availed before the delivery date. Furthermore, beyond this period, a woman can opt for work from home. Secondly, it was brought within the ambit the leave of 12 weeks for adoptive mothers and commissioning women who are also termed as women who have children via a surrogate. Thirdly, creches are to be installed in every organization which has more than 50 employees. And fourthly, it makes mandatory on the employer to educate its employees on the maternity benefits available to them.
Section 304B of the Indian Penal Code 1860. Where death of a woman is caused by any burns or bodily injury or occurs otherwise than under normal circumstances within 7 years of her marriage, and it is shown that soon before her death she was subjected to cruelty or harassment by her husband or any relative of her husband for or in connection with any demand for dowry, such death shall be called dowry death, and such husband or relative shall be deemed to have caused her death. Whoever commits dowry death shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 7 years, but which may extend to imprisonment
Did
for
you
life.
know? Any person, including the woman herself with a child, causes to miscarry, and when that act committed is not done in good faith to save the life of the mother or the child, it is a punishable offence under Section 312 of the Indian Penal Code. And when the same act is committed but without the consent of the woman, it is a punishable offence under Section 313 of the Indian Penal Code.
Section 46(4) of the CRPC deals with arrest how made regarding women. Except in exceptional circumstances, no women can be arrested after sunset and before sunrise. And in those exceptional circumstances, the woman police officer who is to make the arrest shall, by making a written report, obtain prior permission from the judicial magistrate of first class in whose local jurisdiction the arrest is to be made or the offence has been committed.
Article 39D of Indian Constitution says that there is equal pay for equal work for both men and women.
Article 51A of the Part 4A of the Constitution of India talks about the 11 fundamental duties that are to be followed by every citizen of our country. The Clause E of this article mainly emphasizes on renouncing the activities that are derogated to the dignity of women. Although we've come a long way with respect to women equality and empowerment, A lot of activities that vandalize a woman's dignity, like rape, women trafficking, domestic violence, etc., still prevail. We also often overlook the kind of objectification that both the print and electronic media continues to portray about women.
Article 42 of the Indian Constitution is a provision for just and human conditions and for maternity relief. It is the duty of every state to provide maternity relief to all the women.
The Convention of the Political Rights of Women, 1953, Article 3 states that women shall be entitled to hold public office and exercise all public functions established by national law on equal terms with men without any discrimination.
Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Indonesia. All these countries have something called the menstrual leave policy. According to Article 42 of our Indian Constitution, which is also the directive principles of the state policy, it is the duty of the state to provide just and humane conditions for working. On this day of women equality, I strongly feel that there is a need for menstrual leave policy in our country to be established. If Zomato can, everybody can.
So this 26th of August, let's all take upon us this moral obligation that our Constitution expects us to uphold and treat each other as equals.
We at Exponential Law Journal decided to bring to the notice of every woman the kind of provisions and women-centric laws that are present in the country and world over. So today, we must be grateful for all those acts and be happy about the fact that we have come a long way as women.
I would like to wish you all a happy Women's Equality Day.
Wishing all the superwomen out there a very happy Women Equality Day.
Happy Women's Equality Day.
Happy Women Equality Day.
Happy Women's Equality Day.
Happy Women Equality Day.
A very happy Women's Equality Day.
Happy Women Equality Day.
Happy Women's Equality Day. Thank you.